Great, so nice to meet you. Do you have any family members that are military or any military history?
I've actually, several of my, one of my nieces and one of my nephews is currently in the military right now. They're actually going to be coming in for this ceremony as well too. So,
Hang on, please call
I
it
do
Divot's
not have
POC.
any military. Kind of fell into between that when Vietnam ended era.
Yeah, and so a professor of Kapaun's, Father Edward Malone, in 1954, he said that he now remembers little things about Father that were not significant then, but which might have let you know what sort of man he would be when the going was difficult and he became involved in a crisis. So if you were to look back on his life as a young man, were there little things that stick out now about his life before he went to war that kind of explain how he was able to do what he did in Korea?
Oh gosh, yes. I mean, and I did not know my uncle because, like I said, he died before I was born. I laugh every time we heard it because Grandma would be so good at telling it was when her and when she and my grandpa had to go into Marion to do some work, and they let Father Emil at home to take care of the chores and to do everything around the house and the farm. And Father Emil was one of those people that, you know, he was going to get it done. He had a job to be given, and he was going to do it to his best of his abilities. And one of those chores was having to milk the cow that they had, the only milk cow that was on their place. And he was going to get it done, even though he knew that Grandma was the only one who could milk that cow. There was nobody else could get close to it. Nobody else could do it. It was always Grandma's job, but you know, he was going to get it done. So he goes out there, and of course the cow wouldn't let him get close. It just fidgety, and it would move around, and he just couldn't do anything. And he was a little bit confused of what he was going to do. Till all of a sudden he had an idea, so he goes back into their house, opens up Grandma's closet and pulls out one of her old dresses that she always wears, that she does all the chores with, goes out and finds her bonnet, ties it on, puts it on his head, and walks out to the barn, does the usual waddle that Grandma would always do, and like, had no problem whatsoever milking the cow. It stood still, everything went perfect. And that's how he would do things. He would look for the simple way to a complicated answer, or he would look for a simple way to any kind of an answer. And that kind of is a tribute to how he would solve problems.
And the professor goes on to talk about how he played football a lot and how he always seemed to find himself at the bottom of the pile, and then he would come out, and how that was kind of foreshadowed almost his being in a hopeless situation of the camps. And so I'm just wondering if you know of any more times like when, as a child, maybe he was in what seemed to be a hopeless situation and got out of it.
Well, a lot to that, but I think more would attest to how he would even help people in school. I mean, he was a very smart person. I mean, and even growing up, he was very smart. And you know, he was actually advanced in the grade school side of things. So he would actually stop and help the kids who weren't as advanced as he was, or who couldn't catch on to a problem as fast as he could, and he would make sure and spend the time to help them and help them solve the problem and help them come up with the answers. And that just continued on through his life. I mean, it was just his unselfishness and his always thinking about somebody else that always made him what he is today.
And so a lot of the you heard a lot of stories about him over in South Korea. Have you ever been there? Have you ever gone there?
No, I have not. Other than, like I said, just the stories that the POWs had talked about. The stories that they brought back are what has made Father Emil today. I mean, without their stories and without them telling what went on there, I don't know if we would have known what happened there, at least not to the extent that we have. So I really feel that we owe them a huge debt of gratitude.
And also, do you know by any chance what his last words were?
His last words as they were carrying him out was to tell the folks and tell the bishop back home that I died a happy death. And that totally attributes to how he lived his life.
And lastly, there was an article about the wife of your uncle, I think Helen Kapaun.
Yeah, my mother.
Yeah, your mother, right?
Yes.
And so she told Obama that she would come to the ceremony, and so I'm just wondering, why is she not coming to the ceremony?
I think she realized that she knew how much it was going to entail, and she knew that it was going to be a lot for her. I mean, she's 84 years old, and she wanted to make sure that how it was done was going to be the best, and she just felt that she could enjoy it more, and she could be able to be a lot less stressful for her if the kids stepped up and took over, and that was my role, and I was very, very honored to accept this role, and very honored to be here.
And lastly, if Father Kapaun becomes a saint, do you think the church in Pilsen will become will name the church after him?
No, I do not. I think the church in Pilsen is St. John Nepomucene, and everybody will know. I mean, there's a lot of people that know that church right now, and they know the relation of that church to Father Emil. And I really think that the tribute to what the town of Pilsen is and what those people are and what they've done to hold up Father Emil's name and how they've held his name and his virtue and his legacy so high, I think it'll stay just like it is, because the world will know where St. John's Church is at.
Well, thank you very much for talking to me.
Okay,
So.
thank you.